Hi everyone, or I guess one person. Please let me know if you can hear everything, see everything, especially on my desktop here. And in the meantime, I will also make another post on Reddit to hopefully get some more viewers. Because I guess I kinda announced it a little bit surprisingly. Also, please excuse my coughs. I'm still pretty ill, but I think if I talk quietly like this, I should be fine, so let me know if that's loud enough for you. Oh, hi Mango Pair. How did you get an email about the live stream? That's interesting. Let's see if Twitch likes the quality. This looks good. So right. So I'll just wait until 9 and then I'll start properly. Ah, Twitch sends an email. Wow. That's useful. Thank you. I'm really glad to be back. So yeah, I guess I'll just hang out for 5 minutes and then I'll properly start and we'll do some questions and answers as is tradition. How was your thesis? Good question. It was definitely fun and interesting. However, due to complete time mismanagement on my part, it became a lot more stressful than I hoped it would. I basically did like 80% of the work in the last 3 days. At least the theoretical part. And yes, probably some other people will ask about it, but I can already send you the link if you want to try it out yourself. What you can do here is basically wait a little bit until it loads and then see what it looks like if you just hopelessly flood the city of Iowa. Like enter something for simulation speed here, and then you can see like this is still pretty normal, but if you change the water height of the river, you can slowly see beautiful Iowa drown in water. So yeah, that's what my thesis was all about. And as you can see, all of this runs completely in the browser. Yes, my major is computer science, and it was the bachelor's thesis for that. I know that it's only 7 a.m. in Germany, but especially for Americans, I figured that this would be the best time. Even though it's late at night, best would probably be even earlier, but I myself can't really do that. And hi, two of you. Yes, I'm having breakfast, and nice to see you. See ya, thanks for dropping by. Alright, so on my clock it's 9 a.m. now, which means we can officially start. I guess the first Citybound live stream since I've been gone. And now I'm back, and as always we will start with some questions and answers, and then I will show you my progress of yesterday, which was my first really productive day since I started again, I would say. And then we'll just continue working on that. So yeah, let me get this good old text going here. And let me know the questions you have or that you got while I was away. Where have you been? Well, first it seems like you have a fever. No, not really fever, just a cold, I guess, but it's getting better, thanks. Where have you been? Well, I've been doing my bachelor's thesis. I got married and I've been on my honeymoon, and I've come back from my honeymoon and immediately got ill, and now I'm getting better, and now I started working on Citybound again. So yes, feel free to ask me any questions you had in the meantime or no. Well, I'm really glad to be back and to talk with you guys again. I got a question about your game. I noticed the map is an L shape. Will there be custom map shape sizes available? Where is it an L shape? Where did you see the? Anselm, I'm planning on refeaturing Citybound on next week's Tycoon News. What should I talk about? Can you please write me a message on Reddit or something, and I will think about it in more detail. I think that makes more sense than to just give you something now, because I watched a couple episodes of your Tycoon News and I think it's pretty important for me to be featured there properly. And I would really appreciate that, and I will do everything to provide you with as much interesting detail as possible. Did you record how many hours you work on this project? No, not at all. But this was my bachelor's thesis about flood simulation, and it doesn't use Citybound's engine at all, but something much more simple. But yes, in Citybound you can have maps can have pretty much any shape. Nothing requires the map to be square. Well, hello, Michael. Well, to be honest, I have been kinda idling due to lack of input or requests from me. We still have a very nice selection of already finished tracks, and I'm kinda hesitating to just randomly ask them for more without properly thinking about it, and the problem was that I couldn't even focus on Citybound itself in the past time. And now that I can focus on Citybound again, I also want to start thinking about the soundtrack again, and will probably stay in closer touch with them again. Will I be able to put my bachelor's thesis into the game? Yes, definitely. I mean, that was one of the ideas of the thesis, to just try out fluid simulation, and even with the specialization of using it in city environments. And I feel like I understood it well enough to be able to also implement it in Citybound in a both realistic, meaningful and fun way. Yes, I will definitely tell them, and I also really love their work so far, and I can't wait for people to hear the full tracks in game. That must be so amazing. Will there be a set time frame the game takes place in, or will you be able to build a city as it would appear in the 1910s, 2000s, 2070s, etc.? I think the base year will, at least for now, be 2000, and it will slowly start going forward in time from that. So it's basically placed in nowadays. I'm not quite sure what that will even mean in the game, if there will be some sort of progression of technologies even, or something like that. But all of that is possible in theory, and I think this is also a great place where mods can provide completely different experiences of building cities in, I don't know, either the far past or far future. Yes, this would be possible in theory. yes, I also think that for the base game there won't be anything like technology trees or something like that, but it's definitely something implementable for mods. By the way, for those who don't know, MSLS is Michael, the second City Bond developer. He's not some random guy in the chat that magically knows a lot about the game. But he's the second developer, so feel free to also talk to him. And I'm afraid by telling everyone that that's you, Michael, you can't troll them anymore. I'm sorry. Michael, you said you maybe want to stream in like 5 to 6 hours from now. Is that still your plan? Alright, well, if you do end up streaming, I will try to also be kinda present in chat, because I think it's nice to have both of us present. Alright, I'll quickly bring something back to the kitchen and think of the last questions that you want to know for now, and I will answer them. And afterwards we will have a look at what I did yesterday. So I'll be right back. One second. Alright. Don't try to plot a revolution. What could it even be about? Yes, no more pretzels. I'm in Russia today for breakfast. Some of you might have seen it. I had what is called kasha. It's basically porridge. And I think that since this is what children eat every morning here, that this must be what makes them so smart and resistant to cold. So, question: is the game planned to have rudimentary modding support, like adding custom buildings, rebalancing, etc.? Yes, and much more than that. Most of the game source code that controls like gameplay behavior and not something about the engine, for example, will be completely editable if you own the game. So you can actually not only like change parameters of our simulation, how we implemented it, but you can completely re-implement parts of the simulation and completely change behavior or add completely new behavior. So at the same time, I want to make sure that modding tasks that come up often, like adding custom buildings, are really, really easy to do, and maybe I will even provide like tools to do exactly that. Have you encountered any problems regarding map size and running large cities? To be honest, I haven't been able to test that for a long time, since I've been focusing on individual features and making them work. I guess at the very beginning of development of Citybound, I did this kind of scale proof of concept of how many cars I can simulate at once, for example. But the problem is that the code now works already completely differently from what I had back then, and I should really try to create a new scaling test like that and then talk about that. Will Citybound be focusing on smaller scale economics and gameplay to differentiate itself from the likes of City Skylines? What exactly do you mean by smaller scale economics? Well, hi Flojinier, nice to see you. So yes, Mango Pier, what did you mean by that? Oh, and I should probably do the same for you. Can I do that from here, or do I need to do that somewhere else? I will have a look at it later. Okay, just feel free to ask it again later. Oh, okay, let's do that later and let's figure it out. Alright, so let's now have a look at what I did yesterday. Yesterday I was, for the first time since very, very long, able to just focus on working on Citybound for a whole day, and I really felt productive, I have to say, but enough words, let me just show you what I did. There are a couple more questions. Can you please like keep them for the next Q&A sessions? Thank you. So what I did was to work on intersections, and in particular to implement traffic lights. So if we just create a standard four-way intersection like this, here you can see in a kind of sped up fashion the traffic light timings that this intersection would have. I made it really, really fast just for debug purposes, to see if all the right lanes become green together. But as you can see, this works pretty much like I would expect a real traffic light to work. Like straight lanes and right turning lanes are green together. Then there is a phase in between where you have left turning lanes green, like the two opposite ones. and then it switches to the other direction of the intersection. Now of course the same also works for intersections with one-way streets. As you can kind of see here. Again, it's really fast just to be able to debug it more easily. Yes, the U-turn is also part of the left turning lane, but that probably wouldn't be noticeable. So that's the first thing I did, and the neat thing is that this algorithm that figures out the traffic light timings is very generic and should work for basically any intersection that you can imagine. And to really try that out, the second thing I started to work on was to first make it possible again to create roads of different widths. So this is what a simple 2-lane road would look like, and we can cross it with anything we want. And it should still have proper traffic light controls. Can even do like a huge one-way road like this and see what it does. But it should basically just work. Then you might notice that so far I've only been creating like 4-way intersections that completely cross through, and before I didn't implement T intersections yet, and this is the last thing I started to implement yesterday. Strange, takes kind of long to reload the game here. I've been doing most of the development on my MacBook lately, and only like today switched to the PC again, so some things might be a little weird. So what I implemented then was the ability to not only create an intersection completely through a road, but to create a T intersection like this, and it like will actually snap to the road and stop there. And you can see it, you can already see it looks kind of weird, and this will be the first thing that we deal with today. But yeah. The neat thing is though that now it's really easy to like draw a road through all the roads, just draw a road and it will create the proper intersections. Sorry for being so coughy, I guess. So yeah, this is what I did yesterday. Now if you look closely at these T intersections, you can see that they look kind of weird, like there's stuff missing. Let me reload that. Yeah, roundabouts will work in exactly the same way. They will basically just be like an alternative to an intersection being created. There can be a roundabout being created. I have no idea why it's taking so long to reload it, so let's just kill it. So let's look at these T intersections. Here you can see that first there's some weird connection like this, and here there's a lot of connections missing. And the reason for that is that the algorithm which figures out which lanes should be straight lanes and which lanes should be turning lanes can't properly deal with T intersections yet. The way it works, again, okay, but this time it was faster. For four-way intersections, for example, like this one. But you can see that even here it has a bug, so if we can fix that for T intersections, we should also be able to fix this bug. Basically, it just collects all of the incoming and outgoing lanes of the intersection and connects all of them. But depending on if the direction between them is straight or not straight, it connects them with several lanes. Like straight connections will have several lines, whereas turning lanes will only be a single lane. And you can see one bug in this algorithm causes the U-turn to be from here to here, which is completely wrong, of course. And at the same time, as I said, it can't deal with T intersections yet. You can see that it considers this a turning lane because it goes to the right, and thus only creates one lane in this direction where there should be three. I hope that makes sense to you. Let me know if you understood like what the problem is. Well, the square in the middle of the lane is just grass, like there's no lane. That's the problem. Like there's only one turning lane, but no, there should be three turning lanes, but because it considers it a turn to the right, it only creates one turning lane. Does that make sense? Hello there. Well, good to see you again as well. Alright, so let's have a look at the code that kind of, creates these lanes or turning lanes. And this is here in lane intersections. This will probably also be the first time you see a lot of the new road system and traffic code. So yeah, here we have this function called create lane bundles for an intersection, and what it does is an intersection is basically defined by its incoming half roads. Or let me explain some concepts first, else it will just be too confusing. So when I draw a road, and let's first start with a one-way road, it is basically, it consists of a connection point over here, a connection point over here, and the actual lanes that connect them. Now, if I create an intersection, I basically create four new intersection points, four new connection points, one here, one here, one here, and one here. Two of them are incoming in this case, this one, and two of them are outgoing, this one and this one. And what I need to do in order to create the intersection basically is to create the appropriate connections between these connection points. Now the whole thing gets a little more complicated if we do two-way roads, but all it basically is just like connection point for this side, connection point for this side, connection point for this side, connection point for this side. If we create an intersection, we just have now 8 connection points instead of just 4, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And this one is incoming, this one is incoming, this one is incoming, this one is incoming, and the others are outgoing. And based on this information, we need to figure out the correct connections. The 3-lane roads are one-way roads. These ones are two-way roads. So let me bump up the text size. How can I do that here? I thought I can just do it by control and scrolling or something. If anyone knows by heart how to do that in WebStorm, let me know, please. Also, we'll just do it here. Let's try something like 16. Do I have my favorite font installed here? Let's see. No, but at least I can do something like this. Alright, let me know if that's more readable for you, or maybe even too big. Good question. Why the switch from Sublime Text? Basically, my girlfriend, now wife, had an internship at JetBrains, and she really convinced me that maybe I should try WebStorm. So I decided to try it and actually discovered that finally I found an IDE that's not more annoying, that it's useful. And what was particularly impressive for me was that it just completely figured out the city-bound code base, even though there's a lot of non-conventional stuff going on, and just from the very beginning gave really helpful auto-completion and stuff like that. I don't even use it for debugging, just basically auto-completion and Git integration, I guess. Alright, so I will get some new tea, and then we can start to have a look at this code and try to make it better. Alright, so be right back. Alright, I'm back and I hope you can hear me again. I need some varenje with my tea. What is varenje? Oh. Where is the sofa? Well, it's somewhere over there. Ah, you can even see this chair if I'm not sitting on it. Yes, it's a very comfortable and I don't know how to say it, like aesthetically pleasing minimal black chair that I'm sitting on. Aber den jetzt genau. So volume is a bit low. Let me try to make my microphone slightly more sensitive because I can't really afford to talk louder today with my suffering throat. Alright, so if we look at this code, we will see that it does something in several steps. First, like it does something for all incoming connection points. And what it first does is for each incoming connection point, it finds the outgoing connection point that is straightest for it. Like if we have an intersection and for example we're looking at this incoming connection point, then we compare all the outgoing connection points, so this one, this one, this one, and this one, and we see which one is straightest from it. And obviously the straightest one for this one is this one. But we need to figure that out first because we don't get any information about how the intersection was created. We just get basically the positions and directions of these connection points, and we need to figure out which one is the straightest. So we do that using just some basic geometry, and then we know which is the straightest one and which direction it is in. Then again, we iterate over all outgoing connection points, and now we create the connections between the incoming connection point and the outgoing connection point. And if we're looking at the pair of them, which is the straightest connection, then we create lanes, or in this case it's called lane bundles, with more than one lane, and this would just be the straight section of the intersection. And if it turns out that the pair of incoming and outgoing connection point that we're looking at is to the right of the straightest direction, then we create an outer turning lane. And I really feel like I should start drawing some diagrams here, but I will just finish explaining it. And finally, if the direction of the pair of incoming and outgoing connection point that we're looking at looks to be to the left of the straightest direction, then we create an inner turn lane, and this is both left turning lanes as well as left turning lanes as well as the U-turn lanes. Alright, see you. Thank you. Can you add numbers to lanes on intersections in debug mode? Just make it easy to name them without saying this one and this one and this one. Yes, I probably actually can. I don't know how visually helpful it will be, because there will just be a lot of numbers on each intersection. Let me see if I quickly can hack something here. Yes, I'm not even sure at which point to put the number. So we want let's try what it looks like if we just put it like 2 meters away from the beginning of the lane, if that's understandable. Debug text is what I want, of course. See, because now thanks to Sublime Text I can do something like jump to the definition of this. So first argument is text, position color. Color, let's just use blue, or let's use what is easily visible. I guess turquoise, or however to pronounce it. Text color, position, category, intersectionalities. Right. I have to completely relearn the shortcuts here because, as I said, I've been using my Mac and the WebStorm shortcuts are just completely different there. So now if we create an intersection, we have these numbers here, and I guess they're kind of helpful. Like there are some numbers which are on top of each other. How about we just put the number exactly in the middle of the lane? So that would be something like lane bundle path length. Yes, this is all in JavaScript. So now, like this is 18, this one is 20, I guess. I don't know, let me know if that looks easily referable to you. Like which number belongs to which lane. The numbers are exactly at the center of each lane. Why are not all lanes numbered? Well, basically because this is, and here I guess I should introduce the concept of a lane bundle. Like Citybound doesn't think in terms of individual lanes anymore, but of collections of lanes which go in the same direction. And in the case of the straight lines here, you only see one line representing a lane bundle that consists of 3 lanes. So sure, there are 3 actual lanes, but they are how to say that, they are grouped together into one lane bundle since they share exactly the same properties. You can see cars moving, but they don't react to the traffic lights yet. But that's something we can also quickly implement. You will see that they can avoid collisions. But they don't respect the traffic lights at all yet. Yes, and because they don't respect the traffic lights, these poor guys will never get their chance to turn. So yes, I guess actually let me know what you are more interested in, to get T intersections working or to have cars respond to traffic lights. Right, so just a quick, well, goodbye Fusion here, just a big straw poll. Let me know what we should work on first. Make cars respect traffic lights or implement T intersections properly? Okay, you want traffic light awareness? Lights, okay, that's obvious. What will happen if you do a spawner on the third line left? Where exactly? Here? And I'm ill, but not bad, thank you. Actually, not just not bad, but happy to be back and working again. So let's make cars aware of traffic lights first. Exactly there. Okay, let me try that. And do you want them to turn or to also go straight? I guess I can make both. Let's have them turn. And they should be able to do that completely independently. Yes, some of the cars have weird colors. Might be due to the graphics card I'm using here though. Because the color is basically randomly generated on the graphics card and there might be a bug with that. Alright, so let's remove these again. Oh, let's even just comment it out, we might need it later. And then let's really slow down. Oh, first let's fix the spelling mistake. And let's really slow down traffic lights, maybe. I don't know, maybe even something like this. Let's see what that looks like. Here for these debug cars that spawn out of nowhere, I can set their source and destination point and they will take turns as needed. So yes, the switching speed seems pretty okay for me. So let's have cars react to it. And all we need to do is first let's have a look at where that is implemented. Like you can see here, this function basically creates a traffic light and figures out the correct timings, and then for each lane bundle on the intersection it sets some properties that you can see here, which are called enterable period, enterable start, and enterable end. Enterable period is basically the duration of one whole traffic light cycle. And enterable start and enterable end are inside this cycle the times where this particular lane is green. So we already have all of this information, and we even have a handy helper function that can just tell us, is any given lane bundle for any given time t enterable right now? And it will do all the calculation that is needed. And what we have to do is open the file where car behavior and obstacle avoidance is defined, and you can see this is kind of the main function. First, a car tries to see if it has a car immediately ahead of it on its own lane. That's the simplest case. Then it basically only has to try to not run into the next car ahead. If it's on the border of a lane or it's the first car in a lane, everything gets more complicated, because then it needs to check on potentially several following lanes and on lanes that overlap with its own lane, but we will not care about that now. All we need to know is that if a car doesn't have a next car, which means it's the first car in the lane, then it should react to traffic lights like they are an obstacle. And it should do that let me think exactly when. After this step. After it checked everything on its own lane, then it should check if the next lane it wants to go to is actually enterable. And here we'll add a case for lanes that just aren't part of intersections at all. If it doesn't have an enterable period, then just always return true. These are always enterable. Yes, more complicated stuff like dynamic traffic lights that react to cars are of course possible later, but I just implemented the very simplest case first. So here, I think we can even just implement this here because it's so simple. Let me see. What exactly I need to use. I think I can just use car next lane bundle. Yes, so if not lane traffic is lane bundle enterable, car next lane bundle, and I guess we need t as a parameter here now. So we need to update cars, and here we need to add also t as a parameter, I guess. Oh no, wait, we need to no, that's correct. So 1 second, car t. Let's add time as a parameter here everywhere. And then I think I need to go to like the file that contains the main loop. here we can do, yes, exactly. Here we use calendar, get absolute time to get like the in-game time to use for the traffic lights. And now we should have all of the. So if the next lane bundle I really wish we could name our files with the first letter being capital. Interesting, why? Yes, just for consistency. I don't even know why I decided to do it like that, but I guess we can change it at any point, but it doesn't really matter. Alright, now that if it's not enterable, then we just we say, okay, the car has an obstacle, and we just say that the obstacle is the next lane bundle. I mean, that's kind of weird that a lane can be an obstacle, but just so we have something to refer to. The offset is just, we set it to the car's current lane bundle. Sorry. Current or car lane bundle. And then lane length. Lane index. All right. So we say that the obstacle is at the very end of our lane. And the velocity of a traffic light is of course constant 0. And I think this should be all we are required to do. So let's see if it works. So we can see that they're stopping, which is great. They run into each other, which is not great. Well, that's actually really stupid. And I know why, and now something really strange happened. Okay. Let's do it step by step. First, we should only do this if we don't already have an obstacle. So if we don't have an obstacle on our own lane yet, then we should think about the traffic light, because like that's why we saw cars running into each other, because they stopped caring about the car in front of them and just looked at the traffic light. So now they should first worry about the car in front of them and then about the traffic light. Okay, let's test it again. Oh wait, misclicked. So now they're stopping appropriately, not running into each other. Now it's green and they're going, looks nice. And then something really weird happens, and we should probably look at the cannot read property enterable period of undefined. Okay, let me think about that. Yes, the reason is probably if the car doesn't have a next. Yes, exactly. So we should only do this if the car has a next lane bundle. I like to write that like that. It would be nice if cars could switch lanes to get closer to a stop line before the traffic light. Yes, but that's something I will work on in the future. Like one of the next things I will work on is to make cars to be able to switch lanes at all again. And then I can think about stuff like the car is using this not only for choosing the correct lane to turn, but also using up space efficiently. Alright, let's see if it works without glitches. And let's spawn a couple of them to make it interesting. Oh, of course, now these are blocking. Oh no, it's fine actually. But did I tell them to turn? No, probably. Oh, this was really short. Why aren't they going? Where did I tell them to go? Okay, so it's definitely not working completely properly yet. And let's try to find out why. Especially with these cars turning to the left, something was wrong. Let's first try them individually. Yes, no, they work. Now if I add other cars, well, yeah, now they didn't try turning at all, and the reason might be that for them it feels like there's still something on the intersection. Why is there such a gap when they cross the intersection? What exactly do you mean? For north going south? Why I didn't pay attention? Yes, I should look at that. I think I know what you mean. But looks fine, no? Like they wait needlessly, yes, and they also wait. Let me turn on again the kind of debug info that I use to see if cars properly react to each other. Let me try to find like the most minimal case that isn't working. So now they can definitely go, but they're afraid to not do so because I see. Let me think what causes this. I think it's because cars are still using the extra careful code for like intersections without any traffic lights at all, and they see that there's like oh, there's cars coming from there, I shouldn't cross yet, but of course if they have green they should just do that. And I think this is pretty easily fixable by removing this property. And maybe by even changing their priorities. Yes. If they all have the same priority, it shouldn't do that, I think. Let's see if that helps. What exactly do you mean by how is the road intersection implemented? I think I described it earlier. Yes, but the process of finding this intersection and creating the proper connections is really complicated. And I could probably write a whole blog post or several ones just about that. But if there's something in particular that you're interested in, try to ask and I can try to answer. So let's try that again and see if they are less careful now. Yes, no, they definitely see them, but don't react to them as obstacles anymore. So that's good. So let's add some more cars and see how intersection deals with that. Yes, here you can see exactly for the same reason again that these cars are overly careful. This one car managed to sneak past the red traffic light, which is stupid of course, but you can see that even in this case cars still see each other and avoid collisions. Sorry for being so quiet, I'm just like thinking about all the different stuff that I need to consider. But I think one simple thing that we can do first is to introduce small breaks between the switches of the traffic lights so cars have time to leave the intersection as well. So let me adjust the timings here a little bit. We can add like pause between groups. Between groups, and then just subtract it again later. So now there should be like some time in between for cars. Whoops, looks wrong. Maybe I should set it to a value. Let me try to not lose chat. Yes, what I'm basically doing something like a yellow signal. For the sake of simplicity, I'm using just red and green, but by adding a pause in between, like you can see now, there should be enough time for cars to leave. Maybe that's even too big of a pause. Yes, I think I will. Okay, so I will make it longer in general, but make the pause shorter. Like this. I keep forgetting about the chat window. I should just move it to my other monitor. Let's see how well this intersection works. Yes, now they definitely, or looks like they have exactly the right time to leave the intersection. Can add even more spawners to make it more interesting to look at. Yes, pause is almost still too short, but already really looks like a real traffic light for me. Can you put two spawners with different targets on the same lane? Yes, I think I can. For example, let me add another one here that goes straight. Or we could add another one here that does a U-turn. Let's see. We'll probably have to wait a little bit for these cars to arrive at the front. And by the way, I think I will stream until 11 of my time, so we can do some more programming. I think in a second I'll do another quick Q&A session, and in the end we'll have a short review that I can post on YouTube. Yeah, the glitch cars are interesting. They seem to be completely hardware dependent. So cars are still being overly careful, but I think I know how to deal with that. Yes, now here you can see some cars are going straight and some of them are turning. And the same should be visible here. Some of them should do a U-turn. Or maybe not yet. Alright. Yes, that's an interesting suggestion. But then I would need to like save car color as a property of cars. Like right now the color of them is randomly generated based on their ID. And that's first probably the cause of the strange glitch car bug. But it also allows me to just render a lot more cars, I guess. Alright, so I think it's time to get another tea. Prepare your next questions and then we'll do a short Q&A session. I don't know how to move this text here. Just like this. Yes. Alright, I'll be right back. Alright, I'm back. Yes, right turn on red should work fine with collision avoidance, but, or I don't know, it's just something that I have to try at some point. Well, it's true that the avoidance is kind of more expensive than just following the car in front of you, of course. But the nice thing is that on each intersection really only a couple cars need to do it. Like the vast majority of cars at every point in time only need to follow the car in front of them. And only the cars which are first on a lane or on an intersection need to do something more complicated. So I hope that it scales pretty well. So questions, how's Russia for you? This winter was unusually warm, did you like it? Well, there were some pretty damn cold days, at least for me as a German, but now it feels just like spring already, I guess. Let's see if it becomes cold again. Russia in general is just beautiful. I love especially St. Petersburg, the city I live in now. I've also been to Moscow now, which is really impressive, but I can't really say that I like it as much as St. Petersburg. And yeah, I feel like I just got completely used to living here. Slowly I'm understanding more and more of the language, and I really like that. And yes, I'm feeling great here. Where have you been for the last 3 months? Well, I was mostly here in Russia with a short interruption for 1 week where I went to Germany to basically finish and hand in my bachelor's thesis. Anselm's voice relaxes me. Well, I'm glad. So yeah, what other questions do you guys have? And if someone could tell me how many viewers we're at now, would be interesting. Also, what the hell happened here? No one knows. Yeah, because I get spawning too many and it can't deal with that. I didn't really test this 2 spawners on 1 lane yet. What's the FPS difference between streaming and not streaming on your computer? I think for Citybound none, and for most games none. I think the stress test that I did on this machine with streaming was to stream Arma 3, and even that worked pretty flawlessly. 41 views is great. I think I just, like, from the corner of my eye saw a car do a U-turn, but it's like unrealistically quick, so you might not have caught it. Well, that's pretty nice. And so yeah, what I really like to see watching this intersection here is that even if there are people who are idiots, like there are a lot in real life who like stay on the intersection for way too long and block the way. At least the other guys won't run into them. At some point I will have to implement aggression and horns beeping and so on to make it more, how should I say, realistic. But it already looks pretty natural. Do you find it easy to fall asleep at night with your brain thinking about all the things you want to do with your game? Interesting question. Like, I feel like lately I've been thinking about a lot of other things, but I really started to like think about the game every other moment again, and I don't know, it's just something that I'm already so used to. Like, it doesn't drive me crazy to think about it. I feel like I can just stop at any point and then resume my thoughts later. Are you going to base the game on European urban standards or American ones, or a mixture of both? Probably a mixture of both. Some decisions I will just do blindly based on what I'm used to seeing. But I think I will probably even focus more on European ones. You missed most of the stream. What did I do? Well, basically, at the beginning of the stream, we only had the timing of intersections, but cars didn't react to it yet. I just showed people that that was one of the things that I was working on. So now we made cars respond to the traffic lights. And yeah, have I considered right turns on red? It's possible, but I don't want to implement it yet. Well, thank you. Alright, like, let's do a couple more minutes of Q&A, and then let's do some more programming. I guess we'll just focus on polishing some of that intersection behavior, and I think I want to solve this T intersection problem on my own. It's like very involved geometrically and not something that I can like easily explain to you live. Or I need to understand it first myself properly. It would be cool to have cars of various sizes. Yes, in an older version of the game there were already trucks, and at some point I will re-implement them. And I mean, the difference between them is just that they are longer, I guess. Mind you, these weren't like trucks which consist of two parts which move independently like real trucks actually look like. They were just like bigger blocks. But yes, more diverse cars would definitely be interesting, but nothing really important right now. Will multi-part vehicles like that ever happen? I spent some thinking about how that might be implemented, but I think it's pretty easy to do. Like, it should be just a graphical thing. Like, for the traffic simulation it doesn't really change anything, it's just like a longer vehicle, and other cars don't care that it consists of several parts, it's just long. And then for graphics, we can figure out a way how to render them so it looks convincing. Same for trains, obviously. right, any last questions before we continue? Interesting, it looks like there's a lot more of these glitch cars now, so maybe it keeps working worse and worse the higher the IDs of cars get or something like that. Yes, this also sounds really complicated for me. Alright, so let's do two things. First, let's make cars just completely not care about cars on previous lanes at all when they're on an intersection, which has a traffic light, and then let's make them accelerate a bit faster, and let's make pauses a little longer. So let's start with that. Let's make pauses like twice the length. And then lane traffic. If the overlap is on an intersection with the traffic light, then the distance to check is just 0. And then else consider these cases. Alright, and then make them accelerate faster. That should be in here. Acceleration is 7. Here we can use something higher. Let's just double it. For the braking and so on, I'm using something which is called intelligent driver model, which is like a standard formula that's used for traffic simulation of cars following each other, and basically it tells a car whether and how strongly it should brake or accelerate depending on the velocity of the car in front of it. Alright, let's see if it looks better. Yes, it looks like they're actually not careful anymore about each other. Pauses are longer now and seem long enough. And the acceleration is also nicer to look at. I'm sorry. So yeah, I would say it looks fine now. Would you agree? We can also try some other combinations of roads, just a one-way road, for example, with a bigger one like this, and see what it behaves like. Oh, okay, so here something is definitely going wrong. That's interesting. Yes, things are seriously broken here. And I asked myself, why didn't I notice before? Let's create another intersection with a one-way road, but maybe in the other direction. Is it the same? Looks pretty broken, right? Let's try to find out what's happening there. So here it looks correct, but if we wait, where did I spawn them from? So the direction of it is from top to down, so let's make them go there and first see if this works. Yes, now it works. So it was just this previous intersection that was glitched. That's interesting. Well, I want to have a yellow light at some point, but I just didn't want to implement that yet. It just makes the timing even more complicated. But this also looks good. Timing durations are still a little off, like some directions should have more time, but I will also think of something more intelligent for that. So let's try just a couple more cases with roads of different sizes. The z-coordinate of cars is positive. No what happened there, teleporting cars, is something very usual if the lanes aren't connected properly. So now here we see a problem where a lot of cars have to wait just because there's one car in front of them who wants to turn. But of course you also have this problem in real life, and the only real solution to it is to have smart traffic light timings that try to minimize the disadvantage of that. When you have cars turning left, you can let cars on the other road turn right. Yes, I have to add more cases like that. Any thoughts of allowing multiple turn lanes left or right? Yes, definitely possible. I just need to, like, it's even very easy to implement. I just need to change some parameters. Or dedicated turn lanes in the middle of the road. Yes, also possible to have dedicated turn lanes. And this is exactly also what I will be working on when I fix T intersections. So this also looks fine. Let's try an even smaller example. Yes, dedicated turn lanes are very possible and will work pretty soon probably. Yes, again, I need to allow more stuff to happen at once. Right now I'm doing something pretty minimal. And it's good that we look at these cases because it reminds me that I still need to do that. Alright, so honestly I feel a little exhausted by now. I don't really want to start a completely new topic anymore, so I will just slowly prepare everything for our short review of what we did today. And then I'll do a final Q&A session, do the review, and that will be it. So we'll just remove this debug information so it looks more understandable. could compute which lanes can go by checking for geometric intersections to turn off lanes for a mode. Yes, this is basically what I'm doing, or exactly what I'm doing, and the problem is only that I'm not adding lanes to all the, I call them groups, that they could fit into. Like for example, now this lane here could also be green, and I just don't create all the possible combinations, just a couple simple ones that I thought of, but it can be made simpler. All right, yes, so let's do final Q&A. If you even have questions right now. Well, medians and dedicated turn lanes like that is something that I want as a feature anyway, so I will have to figure out how to draw that. But it's basically, I don't know, it's not that difficult. I need all of the stuff anyways to draw stuff like on-ramps for highways and so on, because I also have the same kind of problems, if that makes any sense. Well, dedicated turn lanes is basically if in the middle here at the intersection you have an additional lane that is just used for turning to the left in this case, and after the intersections you don't have it again. If someone finds a picture for him, just paste it. Alright, so if there aren't any questions, let me try to summarize everything in my head. Some busy roads have longer dedicated turn lanes than others. Would that be one size fits all or configurable? Well, hopefully configurable. The only problem to solve is how to implement a user interface for setting that. But yeah, not something really important right now, but something that I will think about. All right, any other questions? Right. Yes, there will be a choice between stop signs or yielding or traffic lights, but again, I'm not completely sure yet how to implement a user interface for that. I have no idea. All right, let me prepare for the summary. So this is the review of the first live stream since I'm back, I guess. And probably the first thing a lot of people have been wondering is, where have I been? some of you might have heard, but I will just say it again. Let's just say the last couple months have been kind of interesting for me. I had to finish my bachelor's thesis, and I got married. Let's try again from the beginning so we have something nice for YouTube. So this is the review of the first live stream since I'm back. Most of you have probably, again, my brain is not really working anymore. Let's try. I don't know why I can just talk live without a problem, but as soon as I realize that it's something that I will use on YouTube or something, it's difficult to concentrate. Let's try to just be natural. So this is the review for the first live stream after I'm back. Where have I been? Well, I had to finish my bachelor's thesis, I got married, and I went on my honeymoon, and after conveniently getting a little ill, I'm back and working full-time on Citybond again. Today I decided to do the first live stream for me in the pretty early morning. For America people at night, I guess. It seemed the most convenient. And I started it off by showing what I worked on my first productive day after I've been back. And what I worked on was first to make it possible to create roads with different amounts of lanes, both two-way roads as well as one-way roads. So anything you can imagine. And then the second important thing is that I started to implement traffic lights and traffic light timings for intersections. So if I create an intersection like this, you can see these lines here, and they represent which directions have green right now. So now straight, and these turning lanes are green. And this I already implemented yesterday and showed to the people on the live stream. And then what we did during the live stream was to make cars react properly to that, and yeah, stop at traffic lights and wait until it's their turn. So let's spawn some cars in different directions here and see what it looks like. First only straight ones, and then let's add some which want to turn. And let's just watch them for a little bit. Also, I just realized that I didn't show my screen at all, so let's just restart completely, I guess. Well, crap. Alright, practice makes perfect, I guess. Let's try again. Alright, I want to say the first couple things with me full screen, and then I should remember to switch to this mode. Alright. Thanks for hanging in there with me, guys. I hope it's at least entertaining to you. Alright, so after taking some time off to finish my bachelor's thesis, to get married and go on my honeymoon, I'm back now. I'm slightly ill. Conveniently, I caught a cold a couple days ago, but now I'm back to full-time Citybond development, and today I did the first live stream ever since I'm back. And first I just showed people what I worked on yesterday, my first productive day. And the first thing is that you can now again create roads of different numbers of lanes, both two-way roads like this as well as one-way roads like these ones. And you can basically create anything you want. even huge roads. The second more interesting thing is that I started to implement traffic lights. So if I create a four-way intersection like this, you can see these lines here which represent the traffic light timings. You can see which directions have green right now and which ones don't. And this is also what I implemented yesterday and just showed to people. And then today in the live stream, we made cars react to traffic lights and wait until it is their turn to turn. So let's add some cars. First in straight directions. And let's watch them use the traffic lights. Here let's add some that turn. And as you can see, they wait until they have green. And even in the case where it might take too long for one car and it's like stuck on an intersection, other cars won't run into it because they still use the collision avoidance that I implemented before there were traffic lights. So even in chaotic situations, people will try to not run into each other. So yeah, that's all we did today. In the near future, I will work some more on intersections, maybe add roundabouts to the mix. And then the last thing I want to do for traffic is to make cars switch lanes again. And then finally start to connect everything back to the main game. And I will start with zoning, slightly re-implement that. Maybe make use of Michael's geometry code to generate some more interesting building lots. And then just spend some time working on the user interface. Michael had some great ideas there that we will probably share in the future. And I'm really excited about them and can't wait to try them out. So I'll try to get there as quickly as possible. So yeah, that's all for today. Thanks for watching this review, and thank you to the live stream viewers. I will put your chat on now, so feel free to ask any last questions or give any last comments, and people on YouTube will even be able to see it. Yes. The people on YouTube won't notice that this is like my 4th or 5th attempt of doing this video. I think we can use this one finally. Yes, also please don't mind these cars like glitching between colors. It's a bug that I know about and will fix at some point. Alright, I think we did it. Let's have 2 more minutes of just, I guess, chat or questions, and then I'll say goodbye properly. There's a nuclear explosion behind the window. Yeah, I think the sun just came out really brightly. Or it's like between covers, but it's impossible for me to see from here. Yes, the problem, like Daneless says in German, he's looking forward to the next stream, but he would appreciate if it was a little later. The problem is if it is a little later, then it's like in the middle of the night at America, and that's still where most of my watchers come from. So I think I will probably do around a similar time again in the future. Have you seen City Skylines? Well, I saw some of their developer preview videos, I guess. Someone told me that now people can finally post let's plays and reviews of it. So I'm looking forward to watch that and get inspired, or yes, to get inspired by it, like what to do similar, what to do differently. Yes, I'm from Germany. Yes, I think Michael and me have a lot of ideas that will set Citybound apart, not only from City Skylines, but basically from, if I can make such impressive claims, everything else in the genre. Let's see when that will be visible. I didn't see their airports yet, but airports is definitely something that I want to get right. Like as a child, I drew small airports on like huge sheets of paper for my toy airplanes, and of course I made sure that they had proper taxiways and everything. So airports will be something near to my heart, and I don't know when I will have time to focus on them, but I definitely want amazing airports. I've been writing most of the code with left side driving in mind. It should be fairly painless to switch everything, but I never tried it, but I will try at some point. Unbegabt asks if the graphics will stay like this because of Java. Well, first I'm using JavaScript, and the graphics will definitely not stay like this. Like cars will be 3-dimensional and everything, but for now I'm just focusing on functionality. Yes, I'm from Germany. Alright, so at this point I'll wrap it up. Thank you all for watching. I didn't expect so many people to come for this like kind of random first live stream again, but I hope to do another one very soon. And yes, I'm more than excited to be back to full-time Citybound development. Yes, see all of you soon. Bye bye.